I know for a fact also that one of his first phone calls, it wasn't just 2 phone calls he made 3, because he also called Elizabeth McCoy, his wife, who screamed at the office. Okay. And so we're not being told the truth. That's what I'm getting at. We are not being told the sensible truth. Was his phone call to Erica only 10 seconds? Like you just drop that news and keep it moving? Or was he already on the phone with Rob McCoy? What happened? Okay. I need clarification, because every day that goes on, it feels to me like Turning Point is engaged in a cover-up. And there's no other way to say this. There was no other ways. I don't care who at Turning Point tweets. I literally do not care. I will breathe fire on all of you. I know how these events work. Why was this event confirmed so quickly when it was requested so late? Answer these questions. I need answers to these questions to understand what happened on that day. Because the way that Mikey moves is like he knows where he's going. It's like they know where they're going to meet. And we know that they got to the hospital very quickly, because Blake and Neff says elsewhere, they got into the hospital within 25 minutes.
Something about the Charlie Kirk case is not adding up. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this story is far from what we were told. The timelines clash. The testimonies feel rehearsed. The witnesses keep changing their stories. And the people who should be answering questions are suddenly silent. This wasn't just a rushed event. This wasn't just a security oversight. This wasn't just a tragic coincidence. This was a sequence of decisions, deliberate, calculated, and protected. From the campus approval that went through faster than any event in recent history, to Turning Point overriding safety recommendations, to the pastors with military intelligence backgrounds conveniently positioned around the incident, to the mysterious hospital file that appeared before the timeline even makes sense, to the random old man talking to a bush who somehow ends up being Pastor Jack Hibbs' own brother. Every piece of the puzzle pushes the same question. Who knew what, and when did they know it? Because when you look at the staff movements, the internal messages, the pressure to force an outdoor venue, the unexplained role of Mikey McCoy, and the sudden leaks that feel less like accidents and more like controlled releases, it starts to resemble something far more organized than a mistake. And that leaves us with the real question, the one nobody inside the organization wants to face. Was this incompetence, or was this an operation? Because the deeper we dig, the more it looks like someone wanted this event to happen exactly the way it did.
Like I said, they tried to bury Charlie in a yarmulke, and we were telling you, no, he had a change of heart towards the end. And I was telling you that Turning Point had captured that. They were all mic'd, okay? So Turning Point captured that, and they could have easily released it to give me a little bit of backup, but of course that wasn't going to come from them. Well, just my luck and Tucker's luck that Megyn Kelly actually caught very quickly. Maybe it looks like maybe her assistant's backstage. I don't know the backstory here, but she was in that discussion, which I had not heard before, and she reveals very quickly. You were going to hear Charlie say that Tucker should go for it. So this is what Megyn Kelly released on her show yesterday, and you should go watch the full episode. Take a listen.
I found a video of me, Tucker, and Charlie speaking backstage right before Tucker went out. Tucker and I were talking. Charlie came over and interrupted for just a second, and you can hear him on this tape, which I've listened to many times. It's very clear on my phone, less clear here probably as we play it, but he says to Tucker, "Go Max." He interrupts the conversation because he has to say to Tucker something. And what was so important to him to tell Tucker was, go Max. Here it is.
Hey, go Max. Go on.
It's quick. It just happens to be on tape. And it backs up what Tucker said.
Well, Charlie, we're going Max now, okay? Because Tucker told the truth. He had a conversation with Charlie about everything, and Charlie wanted him to go hard. Now Megyn's adding to it. He even interrupted right before he hit the stage and said, go Max, because Charlie was done with these donors. He was done with them. He really was. And I can tell you another story about which donor was waiting for him once Tucker got off stage and yelled at Charlie. That was a female Jewish donor. And I will be outing her later because I don't care about anything right now. Anyways, point being is we were telling the truth. And we have been facing so much peer pressure, so much nastiness for just trying to get out the true narrative about where Charlie's headspace was at before he died. And my favorite part of all of this now is watching them lose. The people who tried with all of the money in the world to artificially direct the markets toward them after Charlie died are losing, okay? The people who sold t-shirts, who got on stage and said they were Charlie's favorite pastor, America's pastor, I'm going to take over for Charlie. The people who use their connections, their wealth to get themselves almost invited to be a part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. People that didn't even support Charlie Kirk while he was alive. The people who rushed to lie about me and Charlie's relationship, as close as we were. You guys are losing. I want you to know that, because turns out the market is smarter than you are. I'm seeing straight because it's becoming very clear to me that Charlie was a product to everybody else. He was not a human being. He was a product that they felt that they had manufactured. That is my honest opinion, and I am entitled to that opinion, okay? And not only did they think that they had manufactured him, they felt that he was now malfunctioning. He was malfunctioning. And we're not going to let this go. We are not going to stop speaking about this topic, because I sense that we are getting very close, because they are very angry. And we should recap very quickly the verifiable lies that we have thus far been told by Turning Point USA themselves, which apparently they're trying to say it's off limits. So now you can't call out all these lies that Turning Point USA has told you. This is what they're trying to struggle session us into, because Erica Kirk is now the CEO. So they're off limits. So they're allowed to lie. No, that's ridiculous. We will not be following that. Here's our list. And this is by no means definitive. Okay. Just so getting this together briefly. They told us these lies. The amazing, heroic, magnificent Mikey McCoy had blood all over him. That's a lie. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. That's a lie, told and reinforced by Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett. Lie number 3 is that Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet because Charlie ate salad, he had strong bones, it was a modern-day Christian miracle. That's a lie. The offender is Andrew Colvett. Another lie, Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. Offender Josh Hammer, Bibi Netanyahu, insert Zionist here, many Zionist, Christian Zionist influencers as well. That turned out to be a big lie, an unnecessary lie. Lie number 5, the magnificent Mikey McCoy called his dad first.
I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray. I said, okay, son. He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him,
That's a lie. Rob McCoy told that lie. Number 6 is Terrell, the AV guy, was told to remove the cameras by police. That's not true. I have every second of his moves. That offender would be Tyler Boyer, okay? He lied. Number 7, Terrell moved the SD cards because people were stealing hats. Question mark, Andrew Colvett, what if you were scared about people stealing? Maybe remove the cameras? The very expensive cameras would be the thing that they would steal. What are they going to do with your SD card? They're going to resell that? Like, that doesn't make sense. Those are pretty cheap, right? Lie number 8, Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk never had any bad blood between them. The offender there was Alex Clark. Ben Shapiro was on her show, and I don't know why she tried that little bit of propaganda when she knew that wasn't factually true. 9, Charlie established Doge, and that wasn't unusual. Turning Point financially audits the company every year since its inception. Lie. Doge was entirely different from the apparatus of financially auditing yourself, which is recommended and actually in some states required for a company that size. That's 501c3. And 10, like I said, this is by no means a definitive list. Mikey McCoy was a hero that day. Now, you could say that's subjective, but I feel like that, like, objectively, to be a hero, you can't just make quick phone calls. I don't know. I not include 911 in that list. So I'm going to put that on our list of lies. Now we're going to learn some more things that are interesting and compelling. Now, remember, there was that mass panic about me telling the truth about how long it takes for campus events to come together, the schedule, how long, how early they will start promoting for people to buy tickets. I was on tour every single semester, okay, up until June of 2024, okay? And they were mass panicking about this. They were all coming out of the gates, Ali Stuckey, debunking. I was like totally bizarre, as if I didn't work for Turning Point and go on these tours with Charlie. And when people start panicking in that way, they're just alarms, okay? You have to think of these people as alarms, and you should understand that you're getting close to something. And what I've learned has been pretty incredible. So going back to our timeline, I will remind you, it was July 18th. According to the local Utah News, they found this out. It was July 18th that UVU Turning Point chapter requested to have Charlie speak. That is very late in the day for a request. They're usually backed up entire semesters. Well, guess how quickly Turning Point headquarters not only approved it, but then sent people to campus to begin scouting a location almost immediately in early August. Within 2 weeks, they had boots on the ground and they were scouting for a location, and it gets worse, okay? I learned that after UVU showed them multiple options, inside and outside, UVU recommended to Turning Point that they not hold the event in the amphitheater because of safety reasons. Not a good idea because we can't shut this area down. It's not a good idea because there's no control here. We cannot control the traffic, the flow of traffic coming in and out of this amphitheater. But Turning Point insisted that that was where they wanted to have the event. It was because Turning Point insisted that that event was then held outside. Now, I can tell you, having done these events, that was the first thing among many that struck me as odd, is anybody can just walk into that's the whole point of safety, is you want to make sure that these students, you're checking tickets, you have security looking at them up and down. Do they look weird? Who are we supposed to keep eyes on? This guy's weird. Let's watch this guy because he's mumbling to himself. The whole point of that, the reason why you feel safe going to a Turning Point event, is because not everybody can just walk up and sit down when they want to, okay? You want to look people in the eye. Suddenly, that didn't matter to them. Turning Point insisted on having the event outside, despite UVU saying they communicated to them, they did not think the outside was the best idea because of safety reasons. What's the events department looking like that does that? I know, by the way, that Mikey McCoy's wife is one of the events directors. Now, I'm not saying that she does campus events because there's different departments. She might do the bigger events, but was she at all involved in planning this event? I want to know. She may not have been. I need to know, and I will know. Who were the Turning Point employees that were the boots on the ground that scouted that event and that location and insisted on the outside? The reason they gave them that they insisted on it was because they liked the place outside where Charlie could pull up, where the vehicles would be able to pull up. Makes no sense. I have gone through an unbelievable amount of kitchens. Doesn't matter where you pull onto the event to speak at a college campus. You're always walking through a kitchen somewhere on campus. So the idea they liked where they could park their cars, it's not tracking for me. Okay? It's just not tracking for me.
Let's bring this into the light. The more you examine TPUSA's involvement, the harder it becomes to ignore the pattern. Not because of one explosive piece of evidence, but because of the accumulation of decisions, inconsistencies, and unusual behavior surrounding the event. And none of it looks random. 1. The rushed UVU approval and internal pressure. TPUSA events, especially high-profile ones, normally take weeks of back and forth with campuses. Venue inspections, security briefings, administrative approvals, crowd size forecasting. But this one didn't follow the usual rhythm. Multiple red flags appear in the sequence. The approval was expedited far faster than standard campus protocols. The push to lock in the date reportedly came from above, not from local organizers. Requests for additional security personnel were labeled unnecessary. That doesn't happen unless somebody is pressing the gas from the top. 2. The strange insistence on an outdoor venue. Every campus coordinator knows outdoor venues come with problems. uncontrolled crowd points, wider sight lines, unpredictable movement, security blind spots. Yet, TPUSA insisted on it. Even when campus staff raised concerns, even when weather factors weren't ideal, even when the logistics didn't make sense. Why force the one setup that gives you the least control? Unless someone needed that setup? 3. The staff who showed up and the ones who didn't. This is where things get even more interesting. Typically, TPUSA mobilizes local chapter leaders, mid-level coordinators, a few senior staff depending on the speaker's profile. But on this particular event, certain high-ranking field staff appeared with no clear assignment. Some key personnel who would normally be present were suddenly unavailable. A few names associated with the event were later removed from internal rosters and communications. It's not about who was there, it's about who wasn't and why. 4. The odd behavior of Mikey McCoy and the Erickson brothers. Again, not allegations but visible patterns. Mikey McCoy, normally, calm, organized, predictable. But on this timeline, his movements seem inconsistent, uncoordinated, and strangely synced with decisions that later became critical. He's either overwhelmed or he knows more than he's letting on.